Melania, you also write about abortion in the book. You write that you are staunchly for a woman's right to choose. You are pro-choice. You write, it is imperative to guarantee that women have autonomy in deciding their preference in having children based on their own convictions, free from intervention or pressure from government. Had you spoken to President Trump about that before you wrote that in the book?
Yes, he knew my position and my beliefs since the day we met. I believe in individual freedom. I want to decide what I want to do with my body. I think I don't want government in my personal business. I think it's very important. And as I said in the book, and it's very well explained in the chapter, what does really my body, my choice means? Because timing really matters, and also the restrictions. So I encourage people to read it, because we live in the world that everybody should have individual freedom.
And that is the cold statement that has been driving the political world on both sides crazy for the last couple of days, man. She has just come out as pro-choice. Now, some Republicans are feeling it. Some people are not. Some people respect it. Some people don't. I'm not going to give my opinion right now to the end of the video, but let's watch and see how some of the Republicans have reacted to this statement.
First Lady Melania Trump is getting heat for announcing her support for abortion rights.
Without a doubt, there is no room for compromise when it comes to this essential right.
In a new book and this social media video, she puts herself at odds with her husband and many of his supporters.
Individual freedom is a fundamental principle.
The nation's leading pro-life group criticized her remarks, saying for most women, abortions are coerced, unwanted, or inconsistent with their own preferences. Stepson Eric Trump is defending his stepmom.
I think it's a very individual decision.
And vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance is prepared to let it slide.
Melania is entitled to her own views, but it doesn't change how I talk about this issue or how the campaign talks about the issue.
The Trump campaign says abortion rights should be up to each state. And before Melania Trump's post, candidate Donald Trump said he would veto a national abortion ban.
We are not fooled.
But abortion rights advocate Layla Abou-Fazli warns the Trumps are attempting to confuse voters weeks ahead of the election.
We know his record. We know he is responsible, that we do not have a federal constitutional right to abortion.
14 states have enacted abortion bans. Voters in 9 more states will consider abortion protections this November.
I did not know that many states have banned abortion. Wow. At first, I think the last time I checked, it was like 9 or 10. I didn't know that it was that I didn't know it was that many. Man, so you can see it's mixed reviews on the Republican side. I was just shocked that she's married to someone that says he's pro-life and she's pro-choice. Now, I'm not here to debate if you should be pro-life or pro-choice. That's your decision. That's your beliefs. No matter what I say, it's not going to persuade you to be pro-life or pro-choice. I think there is somewhere in the middle that we have to meet as far as women's rights and protecting, life, right? There's a middle ground in there somewhere. Now, this is not the only thing that Melania Trump has said that, goes against Trump. And it just makes it weird because she also has a different view when it comes to immigration that no one's talking about. And all this stuff is in her book. And I think that's why everyone's not talking about the differences, because on the Democratic side, they don't want to help promote her book because she's married to Donald Trump. And then on the Republican side, they don't want to help push her book because they're Republican and Donald Trump, and they want to make sure that he, or at least try to make sure he wins the election. But Omarosa is always going to give her opinion. Y'all remember Omarosa, right?
In her book, Melania Trump details how she forced her husband to stop separating migrant children from their parents, telling her husband it has to end. And she writes, according to The Guardian, occasional political disagreements between me and my husband were part of our relationship, but I believed in addressing them privately rather than publicly challenging him. How influential is she really behind the scenes? And do you think she really had any impact whatsoever on Trump's approach to immigration policy?
Well, let's just remember that she had an opportunity to really impact his thinking and his views when, in fact, she went down with Donald on a visit to the U.S.-Mexico border, particularly when he was, in fact, separating mothers from their children. And she decided to make a statement through her fashion. She wore a jacket that said, "I don't care, do you?" So if she was behind the scenes saying, "Donald, you need to stop this," but publicly saying that she didn't care, it's really not adding up for me. I'm not convinced that she was somehow pulling him back. There were other instances that she should have spoke up, and she didn't. Particularly January 6th might have been a moment where she could have pulled back his worst instincts, where she could have spoke up about issues that were important to Americans, but she remained silent. And I just don't think she cared.
Interestingly enough, she addresses that very fashion statement, and she says it was a message aimed at the media. Now, of course, New York Times reported previously that it was directed at Ivanka Trump and due to a rift, but I take your point. The timing of it, the choice, people can interpret it the way they'd like.
Okay, wow. I was really shocked by Omarosa's response, because did I miss a chapter in this whole political world? You know, y'all know I'm new to this, but man, when did she become the enemy of Donald Trump? She reacted like as if they got a divorce and she married Melania or something. Man, what is going on? I mean, she had some key points, but where was this energy, 6 years ago? Anyway, I digress. To me, this is all the seller book. All right. She came out with it right before the election. They probably had it sitting on a shelf 6 months to a year. All right. They knew this was going to stir up controversy, and they knew it was going to keep people talking regarding Melania and Trump, because at the end of the day, this is a popularity contest when it comes to becoming the next president. It's about characteristics and people liking you and being able to relate to you. And when you have a wife that fits the Democratic side, but you're Republican, it can kind of sway some of those swing voters right over to you. And I think that's the play here. How do you make it work when you're pro-life versus pro-choice? Will you be buying Melania Trump's book? Does this make Melania more personable? Do you like her more? Do you dislike her more? Let me know in the comments. If you're still here, hit that like and subscribe button. I'll see you next video.
I want to decide what I want to do with my body.
Now, there are some things in life that you can agree on, and still make it work as a unit, as one, as a couple. But when it comes to women's rights, I just don't see how you can just see things this way and be pro-life versus pro-choice and make it work. Does she not realize this is how he feels about abortion?
People have asked me what my position is on abortion and abortion rights, especially since I was proudly the person responsible for the ending of Roe v. Wade.
He doesn't even have enough respect for women to think this should be a federal right. He thinks every state should choose, and to be honest, it's just a play to get your rights taken away. Anybody that comes and see this video, if you are pro-choice and your significant other is pro-life, please tell me how you make it work. I would love to hear that in the comments.